It's also a self-determination question. Why can't we be very clear about the injustice done to Nnamdi Kanu? Is it because he's touching on a topic that all of us are uncomfortable with, which is the unity of Nigeria? But I think when it comes to amnesty, there should not be boundaries over fundamental rights.
On Monday morning, as I was at the airport, I learned unknown gunmen had shot a police DPO and his staff who were buying fuel at the filling station. The same point I passed less than 24 hours. And it's actually sad. The DPO was still alive, you know, probably extending his hand for help, and people were interested in videoing it and sharing the video. And nobody extended a helping hand. People are no longer horrified by things like this.
Amnesty International Nigeria on Wednesday, 29th November, unveiled the Nigeria Human Rights Agenda 2023, a report to draw the government's attention to human rights crimes against Nigerians and help the government to plan and take action in the pursuit of justice and equality. Advocates, policymakers, and activists were gathered to address pressing human rights issues facing the nation.
We support our government through the National Human Rights Commission to do the needful, because we are not government. We are just a non-state actor working towards and complementing the sincere effort of government to deal with abuses. Therefore, we are not replicating, or we are not taking the roles of say police or soldier. No, we are only providing them with credible information. We are only providing them with techniques that they can use to enhance the work that they are doing.
One of the ways in which we engage the government is by drafting a human rights agenda. The Human Rights Agenda is a document, a very robust document, which we are going to present very soon. And it contains all the major human rights issues in Nigeria. And the reason why we do that is that when a new government comes in, we want to draw their attention in a concrete way to what are the human rights issues in Nigeria. Everyone knows what the issues are, but we document them because that is part of our job, and we present them to the government. Some of the key issues that we draw attention to are, number one, freedom of expression, conflicts, and we also pay attention to the issue of the Niger Delta, where for almost 6 decades, the people of the oil-producing areas have been living in a very squalid condition, with their environment polluted by oil companies without any accountability.
Protection of human rights. And all CPs, all commissioners of commands were told to cascade down to all the area commanders, to all DPOs, that human rights of Nigerians must be protected. I want to say that soon you'll be seeing different Nigerian police officers, and you'll be asking, are you sure this is a Nigerian police officer? Because things have started to change.
Despite Nigeria being under democratic rule, there is an evident and indisputable cases of systemic rights violations. State actors are still unable to adjust themselves to realities of democracy. We have seen in the states where individual rights have been violated, and we have seen the weaknesses of local organizations when it comes to the issue of standing in defense of those rights. The complementary role you are playing has gone a long way in holding those in the position of power to account. and also giving hope to Nigerians that your right is your right if only you can stand and defend it and fight for it.
To also use this opportunity to focus on something very controversial, because especially within Nigeria, is the rise of persecution on the basis of religion in Nigeria, which is now very common across Nigeria. I don't want to say northern Nigeria, because recently there was a fellow who was arrested in Ibadan and taken to Kwara State. His name is Taniolong, because he expressed opinions that were not popular with the religious chieftains there. And he spent over 180 days in detention.
Amnesty International urged President Bola Tinubu's administration to ensure that respect for human rights is at the center of their policies and to implement findings of previous investigation panels on human rights violations under the past government to ensure justice and accountability.
When we say there are violations, government should go and investigate and take appropriate action. But if you cover the person that perpetrates that, crime against humanity, then you are failing in your responsibility. If you have the responsibility to take action to prevent it from happening, or to fish out those who perpetrated that action and give them the necessary punishment, it will serve as a deterrent. Tomorrow, somebody will not do. But if you cover it on the basis of any sentiment, whether political, affiliation or any sentiment, you are actually undermining the constitution, and you are actually helping to broaden the abuses that is happening in the country.
Even when you are talking of human rights, we too need to be protected. I think somebody was saying it. Of recent, I think 1 or 2 police officers were killed in in Imo. So the issue is, who protects our own rights? When there is election, whether you like it or not, we are being disenfranchised. We will go and conduct election because of the security, but we will not vote. But nobody has ever said it one day and said, what are police officers? Are they not Nigerians?
Even though in the human rights agenda we drew the attention of the government to what is happening now, we also say that, okay, in the last decades, a lot of things have happened, and one of them is the 2015 killing of Shiites in Zaria, where soldiers killed like 350 people within 12 hours in December 2015. And a lot of these things have happened in Nigeria, and they have been happening. And what we are saying is that the government should institute thorough, effective, impartial investigation into these matters. There are many people who have been wounded by these incidents, and they will never recover until they get justice.
Executive Secretary, National Human Rights Commission, Anthony Okechukwu Ojukwu, said the Commission has made monumental progress in addressing violations against citizens and creating awareness around human rights issues.
People are no longer, worried by sights of people dying or being shot or being killed. We can't go on like this. We can't go on like this. So we fully associate ourselves with an agenda that calls the government, the provision of security and welfare of the people is the primary purpose of government. And we demand it, we must get it. Unless we get it, then we are not living a life. That means human dignity, human life is nothing. And we cannot continue like this. So we fully associate ourselves with the lofty ideals of this human rights agenda for Nigeria, and we ask for the cooperation of all. And thank God the police is here. The police is our friend. I'm sure they will help us to realize those